Well, all right, it's time. It's time to get this lecture started. Yeah, clap, come on, woo! Well, good morning again. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see you all here in person, and if the overflow room has any occupants, welcome to the 2023-24 Faculty Lecture of the Year. Yes, go ahead, applause. My name is Nikki DeRose, and I'm the Academic Senate President and a biology professor here at Chaffey, and it is my privilege to introduce today's event. First off, I would like to recognize members of the executive team. We have Dr. Shannon, Misty Burrell, and Alicia Rosas here. We also have governing board members. We have President Bruger, Vice President Oliveras Lambert, and governing board member Mr. Ovet. So welcome to all of you. I would like to extend an extra special welcome to Tara's family and friends. Thank you all for being here today. This is a remarkable event, and so thank you for being here. And then to our members of the audience, we have faculty present, classified professionals, and members of administration. Welcome to each of you as well. Before I get going, I would like to say some thank yous. First, thank you to the theater team for helping to make this theater look beautiful. As you may know, there was a play here that just finished on Sunday. So they do remarkable work. I'd also like to thank M&O and marketing for their help, and IT as well. And I'm sure that there are folks that I have missed, and so if I have, please know that I'm grateful for your help setting up this event. And I would like to thank the Academic Senate Assistant Lisa Napoli. She's the one that coordinates and plans this event. So thank you to Lisa for all of her great work. Okay. All right. Well, now I'd like to introduce a little bit about this award, it is an award, what am I talking about, and this activity. So, the Faculty Lecture of the Year is a tradition at Chaffey College that began in 1969. Faculty members are recognized for their exceptional contributions and scholarship. College administrators, members of the governing board, and the lecturer's guest list are invited to attend, and all campus constituencies are welcome. Every academic year, the faculty elects a faculty lecturer. The Academic Senate invites nominations from all contract faculty and selects a colleague who will become the lecturer for the following year. The nominees have their names put on a ballot, and the faculty votes to determine the faculty lecturer for the upcoming year. The chosen individual selects a topic for presentation to the campus community and receives one class reassigned time during the upcoming year to research, write a paper, and prepare for the lecture. The paper will be published and is distributed at the event, which I believe you will get yours at the end of today's event. The faculty lecture event is highly valued at Chaffey College and draws attendees from all constituent groups, as I mentioned. People who miss it often check the replay of the lecture and go out of their way to find an opportunity to discuss with the lecturer. This event allows the academic community to see the talent, dedication, and scholarly work that usually occurs behind closed doors. The lecturer is presented with a plaque by the President of the Academic Senate on behalf of the faculty. Many of our faculty lecturers have been interviewed and highlighted in local and regional media, and a brief photograph and biography are put in the college catalog. This award is considered an honor by the faculty, and it serves as a powerful reminder of the vital role they play in shaping the academic landscape at Chaffey College. Now, you may know who our lecturer for this year is. It's Tara Johnson. I'm not going to introduce Tara, wait for that. But I did want to recognize some of our most recent faculty lecturers of the year. Just last year, we had Ava Wynn. Michelle Dowd, Ryan Falcioni, Julie Song, and this goes back to 1969, so if you want to see the full list, you're going to have to check out the Faculty Lecture of the Year webpage. In case you hadn't heard, next year's Faculty Lecture of the Year is Angela Cardinelli. But enough about those other winners. It's not about them today. So at this time, I'd like to ask Brent McLaren, counseling faculty and Umoja co-coordinator, to introduce this year's faculty lecturer of the year.
Good morning, y'all, and thank you all for being here for this wonderful occasion to celebrate Ms. Tara Johnson. Tara Johnson's journey started in Linwood, California, where she spent her formative years before relocating with her parents and her siblings to Bloomington in the late 80s. After graduating from Fontana High School, Tara enrolled right here at Chaffey College, and despite not having an education plan or ever seeing an academic counselor, which she does not recommend to her students, she eventually transferred to San Diego State and earned her bachelor's degree in history, made lifelong friendships, and as Tara would say,
I had too much damn fun.
yeah. She did. She did. After graduating from San Diego State, it took Tara about 2 decades to leverage her history degree into a source of income. However, she was able to apply the critical thinking, the leadership, and the collaboration skills that she learned at San Diego State to forge a fascinating career in retail. The initial 15 years of her professional life were dedicated to various positions in retail, starting as a salesperson and progressing up to a manager. She eventually landed roles as a retail buyer for luxury brands such as Nordstrom, Ralph Lauren, as well as some other smaller companies that succumbed to the challenges of the 2008 recession. In 2008, Tara accepted a position right here at Chaffey as a bookstore assistant buyer, and it was here where she found herself enamored with the students and with the community. It was here where she met some of the most motivated and intelligent and thoughtful and resourceful and gritty individuals that inspired her deeply. And despite juggling a full-time job and a husband and 3 children under the age of 5, Tara embarked on a journey to earn her master's degree in management at the University of Redlands with the goal of becoming a part-time teacher. She started teaching at Norco while maintaining her full-time position here at Chaffey College and earned a full-time role in 2018. Y'all can make some noise for that. Cue the applause. Initially, she taught her courses in business and in management and entrepreneurship, but now?
I teach fashion.
Fashion is French for fashion, if y'all didn't know. She has come full circle in her professional journey. She finds herself in a remarkable position of being the sole full-time faculty member in fashion merchandising and fashion design disciplines, and earned tenure in the 21-22 academic year. Yeah. There you go. And we learn quick. We learn quick. Tara's mission is clear: to deliver information in a way that's understandable and relevant and actionable. She strives to keep her classes engaging and enjoyable while imparting an entrepreneurial mindset in her students. Recognizing the need for additional encouragement, Tara assumes the role of Bobby Boucher, the hero, in the movie The Waterboy, providing students with that extra boost of motivation, and her mantra to students is simple, yet powerful.
You can do it!
Tara is a dedicated educator, wife, mother, and auntie to 4 teenagers. See y'all right there. She is also affectionately known as the Umoja auntie to the 300+ students that we have in our Umoja program. Beyond her family life, Tara is deeply involved in various community organizations. She serves as the president of the African American Alumni Chapter at San Diego State and the president of the African American Parent Advisory Council at Etiwanda High School. Additionally, Tara is very active and very engaged member of her sorority,
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
She loves watching natural hair reels on Instagram, rocking long, decorated nails, and listening to 90s rap and R&B. Tara also has a weakness for food that includes bacon or buttercream frosting. She's also not opposed to having both of those things at the same time, which is disgusting. But in all seriousness, Tara, I want to congratulate you on this tremendous honor. I want to thank you personally for always having my back and the backs of the students. And I want to thank you for trusting our entire Umoja team to continue to work on the legacy and build upon the legacy left for us from Dr. Donna Calandras. This lecture is a love letter to the Umoja community. Please make some noise and welcome the 23-24 Faculty Lecturer of the Year at Chaffey College, Tara Johnson.
Y'all gonna make me cry. Listen, y'all gonna make me cry, and I came ready because I'm not gonna do tissue. Y'all gonna make me cry. I can't believe I'm standing here. I'm just gonna soak it in for a couple seconds. Just hi. I've worked at this year for 16 years, and in no bizarro world, scenario, multiverse, that I think I was gonna be here. This was not on my bingo card, so I am elated to be here today, and I hope y'all ready to hear what I want to receive, you're ready to receive what I'm gonna give, okay? First, I want to start by reading the Umoja Land and Labor Acknowledgement, okay? The Umoja community at Chaffey College acknowledges our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino and Tongva people. These lands were the traditional birthright of indigenous peoples who were forcibly removed and have faced 2 centuries of struggle to survive. We also acknowledge the enslaved Africans who built the structural, economic, and cultural foundation of this country and recognize their contributions continue to impact our nation and our institutions at every level. We understand our nation was established through the exploited and unacknowledged labors of African peoples and their descendants. We recognize our responsibility to the dispossessed and enslaved ancestors to strive for an equitable and inclusive future. We commit to creating a future founded on an ethic of love and healing the deepest generational wounds through building a community of mutual understanding. Okay, so before diving into my talk, I want to introduce you to one of the practices that we use in Umoja. We use this to open all of our events, and the practice is rooted in the African tradition and translated into the Black church. We open all of our events with this ritualistic ceremony where we call upon our elders and ancestors to set the tone, right? The contemporary word would be called setting an intention, right? So we ask for our ancestors and our elders to come into the space because the speaker may need their presence to open the hearts and the minds of the folks that are in the audience and that you receive what I'm saying in the spirit that I am saying it in. We know some of these lectures have been controversial on the other side, right? So I'm gonna ask that we set the tone, okay? And also in the African Black church tradition, we just don't sit and listen to a lecture or talk, right? We shout out. Yup, thank you. Thank you. We say hallelujah or amen or say that, get it girl, or all of those. We do all of those things. We do all of those things. So when I say something that I want you to chime in on, something I want you to have agreement, I'm gonna say this word, ashe. Okay? Let me explain ashe, because some of you may be new to this, so let me explain what ashe is. Ashe is a word of affirmation. It's a Yoruba word, which is one of the languages that's spoken in Nigeria, and it actually has multiple meanings, right? The most commonly known meaning is the amen, the hallelujah, right? When something resonates with you, you say ashe, or the speaker says ashe, and you say ashe in return. Ashe also is a word that means life force or life energy, right? So when you're saying ashe, you're helping the speaker, helping them understand that they are building to the life force and the life energy, and it's really important that we get that, right? Also with that life force and our life energy, our elders and our ancestors, they've left a little ashe back for us, right? So when I call on the ancestors, I'm asking them to give me some of their ashe. Okay? I'm asking them to give me a little bit of ashe. And last but not least, ashe means that we have the power our words have power, right? What we say makes life real, right? So we manifest. And it's really important that we are very deliberate and intentional with the words that we choose, right? That we speak things clearly and succinctly because we can manifest that, right? So everything that comes out of your mouth adds to that life force and that life energy. So we should be intentional and deliberate with our words. So when I say something that I want to ensure that you are getting, right, I'm going to say ashe, and you're going to respond with ashe. Perfect. When I say something that is adding to the life force or life energy, I'm going to say ashe, and you're going to say ashe. If I say something that resonates with you, what you going to say? Ashe. Okay, ashe. All right. Okay, we're on the same page. All right, we're on the same page. Okay. So I've given you the word, ashe, but part of this calling on the ancestors and pouring of libations is there's a practice, right? So first I'm going to ask for permission to start. I'm going to invite an elder to grant me permission because they've generated that ashe that I need, that life force that I need to first open the hearts and minds of you here in the audience and in the overflow room. So. Now, when I say elder, I need somebody 70 or older. I know some 70 or older folks in here, so if you're 53 and I say I need an elder, that's not you, okay? I need somebody 70 or older to grant me permission to start. So do I have an elder in the space to grant me permission to start? I see my mama put her hand up real quick. Okay, Debbie Russell has given me permission to start. Since I know I have some other elders in the space that I love and admire, do I have any other elders that would like to grant me permission to start? Miss Margaret? Thank you, Miss Margaret. Thank you for granting me permission to start. Okay, so I've given you the word, and it's coupled with a practice, and the practice is pouring of libations. And I'm going to pull out, I'm going to use libations. I'm going to use two elements here. And one of the elements is represented by this beautiful orchid, and the other is this pure water. And so I'm going to pour libations, but you know, y'all hood adjacent, like pour a little out for the homies. It's the same. It's the same concept, okay? It's the same concept. Pour a little out for the homies. We're gonna pour libations, okay? I'm gonna pour libations in a second. So I have this plant. And I have this cup that was made by one of our ceramic students. Thank you. And some pure water. This is not Ranch Cucamonga tap water, okay? And some pure water. So I'm gonna pour libations in just a second. So. Every time, I'm going to call on a bunch of ancestors. I'm going to call on some people that are known to me and some people that are not who have influenced me nonetheless. And when I call upon that ancestor, I'm going to ask you to quietly call upon that ancestor in your lineage as well, okay? Right? And I might cry. I'm not going to lie. Let me pull this up. I pour this water in the name of my ancestors, those born into slavery and those freed to struggle from then until now, who have left an unforgettable legacy of overcoming achievement and oppression. I say ashe. Okay. This is a tough one. Every time I rehearsed it, I cried on this one, so hopefully I can get through it. Now I'm going to call upon my colleagues who are no longer on this earthly plane. I would not be standing here today without them. And they model how I interact with students. So I call upon the spirits of Renee Ketchum, ashe. Sherm Taylor, John Machado, Arden Alger, and Dr. Donna Calandras. Okay, hopefully that's the only time I cry, but I can't make no promises. I can't make no promises. Okay. All right, next I'm going to call upon these influential ancestors, these people like out in this world that who I did not know personally, but who still shaped who I am today, whose words we quote, and whose legacies we teach. I call upon the spirit of Dorothy Irene Height. I got too much water on that side, y'all. Shirley Chisholm. Maya Angelou. Bell Hooks. And Prince Rogers Nelson. Okay, that got the good ashe. That got the good ashe. Okay, let me get a little bit more water for one last. Finally, I call upon my bloodline ancestors whose life force has poured into me and whose lives serve as a benediction. I call upon the spirits of Henrietta Burchell Russell, Ashe, Bernice Saunders Pritchard, Ashe, and Jessie Mae Russell. Ashe. Okay. All right. Whew, I made it through that. Okay, that was the hard part. Okay. All right. So I would be remiss if I started and didn't thank some people that are here. I heard him get called out earlier for not having a place to sit, but Mark Gutierrez. I want to thank you, Mark, for nominating me for this honor. I was like, what? Somebody nominated me? Who was it? I had to find out. So thank you, Mark. Thank you to everybody on this front row, the leadership team and the governing board. I appreciate you all for being here. And then my curriculum crew and Senate crew, thank you. Thank you all for being here. To my family that's here, my family by blood and by choice, thank you for being here today. My parents, Bob and Deb Russell. Actually, my dad isn't well today, so he's home with my nephew, but my mom is here, my brother Damon, the Johnson-5 +1, right? So my husband Steve and my smart, amazing, talented kids, and niece, Kyle, Dean, Ava, and Savannah. My bestie crew, my girls that are here in the space, and my sorority sisters. I call them my beautiful, intelligent girlfriends. As Shug Avery said, in The Color Purple, they scratches my head out when I was ailing. So I appreciate y'all. They take good care of me. They love on me. They love on me real hard. Also, my personally invited colleagues that are here, past and present, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you all for coming here today. And last but certainly not least, the Umoja team, right? So Brent, Charles, Dr. Emily Kay, Dr. Ty McMickens, Wanda, Tanya, Adam et al., Donald, Barbara, and I'm going to put Prentice by extension because he's not officially Umoja, but he do whatever we need him to do. So thank you all for being here. And as the great urban philosopher Aubrey Drake Graham said, started from the bottom, now we're here. All right? Okay. So just know that, because I'm me, right? I hate to say it that way, but this talk will be presented in African American vernacular English, and it will be peppered with both pop culture and academic sources, okay? So we ready? You ready? We diving in, okay? We diving in. So the ethic of love, the holistic approach to building community. So Tina Turner said that love is a secondhand emotion, but we know that's not the case. And when I was notified that I received this honor, I got a lot of congratulations, thank you. And also got like, what are you gonna talk about? And, people made the assumption it was gonna be some like fashion fabulousness, or I don't know what they thought. But it was really simple for me. Like it was like within a day. I was like, I'm gonna talk about love. I'm gonna talk about love. I'm going to talk about the ethic of love, the Umoja practice, and how it shapes everything that we do. I'm not a person that, I don't make like New Year's resolutions. That's not me. But when I really started diving into this work and being more than, just like, Donna, what do you need me to do, right? For those of you who know Donna, I used to be just like, what do you need me to do? When I really started doing this work and really seeing how she started loving on the students, I saw what a difference that it made in the students. And probably in 2018, I told my sorority sisters, I'm just going to start telling you I love you. So I did love them, but, we don't always tell people that we love them, right? So we were at a chapter meeting, and I said, I'm just going to start telling y'all I love you. And they kind of looked at me like, why? And I'm like, I don't know, because I am. I just am, right? And so it started with my sorority sister. I started, we get off the phone, and I was like, I love you, girl. And, the first time you say I love you to somebody, they like, huh? What? Like, I love you, girl, and then it became a practice, right? So I would get out, before I get on, tell people, I love you, and I've had some strange conversations, too, where I said it, and I probably shouldn't have said it to, somebody, but I tell somebody I love them, and you have this, kind of pause, right? And the more that I start telling people I love them, they start telling me they love me back, right? So I didn't even realize how much I needed to hear that people love me too, right? And then it got to the point where, if I got off the phone, I didn't, they'd be like, girl, why didn't you tell me you love me, right? Right? So I began to understand the importance of telling the people that you love them. And what I'm going to tell y'all is radical. What we do with our students, we just simply love on them, right? And that's what we do, okay? Thank you, Ashe. Bell Hooks tells us the moment we choose love, we begin to move forward. We begin to move toward freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. And our students need liberation. Okay? So I am going to talk about love as a radical approach to fostering a sense of belonging. Keep talking about sense of belonging, and building community through the Umoja practice, the ethic of love. Okay? So first I'm going to talk about the Umoja practices, because there are 18 practices. Honestly, I could probably talked about all of them individually for an hour and a half, but y'all know which one I picked. But the Umoja practices are raising, intentional, and deliberate, manifesting, Umoja counseling, which includes affirming, integrating, and intentional. The porch, which is our red table. If y'all know red table talks, that's our red table. Live learning, that means we learn everywhere. Language is power, you're going to hear about that later. Tapping into the African American intellectual, spiritual, and artistic voices. Awareness and connectedness to the diaspora. Building communal intelligence. Acceleration of math, English, ESL, and counseling. Where my counseling folks, my pathway folks, right? Getting that done. Occupying study spaces on campus. Mentoring, mattering, Umoja as a power base. Encircling diversity, gifting, and everybody's business. And I hope if you see these 18 Umoja practices, like, that's what the California community colleges say that we're going to do, right? And Umoja has just been really specific on what we're going to do. And these all have a much broader definition. We didn't have time for you to read all 18. And they're in no particular order, but the one I'm going to talk about, I numbered it number 18. Number 18 today is actually the ethic of love. And Umoja defines the ethic of love as when practitioners move with an ethic of love, they touch their students' spirit. Moving with the ethic of love means having a willingness to share ourselves, our stories, our lives, and our experiences to humanize and make the classroom real. This leveraging of the affective domain, emotion, trust, hope, trauma, healing, moves the discourse deliberately as an inroad to the cognitive. Approaching one's practice with an ethic of love implies a holistic approach, body, mind, and spirit. That's what we're going to talk about today. So like I said, thank you, Ashe. Thank you, Ashe. So as I said, I could lecture on any of the practices individually, but y'all know which one I picked. You know which one I picked. And if you know just a little bit about the Bible, there is a chapter in 1 Corinthians that's just devoted to love, and the last sentence says, the greatest of these is love. Yes. And Umoja, right, Ashe. And in Umoja, I'm going to say the greatest of these is the ethic of love, okay? So for some of you, I may have started off wrong because I quoted Drake in the Bible. Neither of those are academic sources. But just sticking here with me, we're gonna get to the academic stuff. We had bell hooks for a hot second. We had bell hooks, all right? But it's really simple. Like, it sounds almost too simple to believe, but we just have to love on our students, right? We just love on our students. So that's what we're going to talk about, okay? So we're going to put a pin in the practice of the ethic of love for a second. And first, I just want to talk about, I'm going to start with some definitions of love, okay? And defining love is really a complex task, right? Because we have different types of love for different types of people. But love encompasses a range of emotions and attitudes and behaviors for a person or a thing, and it can vary greatly depending on cultural, social, and personal context, right? But generally, love is defined as a deep and profound feeling that we have for someone or something. And it involves a strong emotional bond that fosters empathy and compassion and understanding. And the ancient Greeks didn't see love as a singular word. Like, they had 8 different definitions for the word love. We're going to see them in just a second. And how love is defined is the context that you interact with other people. So let's look at the definitions that the Greeks had for love, okay? So they have this ludus, this is playful, non-committal love, and philia is a type of love that involves friendship. Felucia is self-love, and eros, root word for erotic, physical love or sexual desire. All right, storge is that familial love. Mania is that obsessive. Pragma is practical. And agape, again, if you know something about the Bible, right? We hear this agape is that unconditional sacrificial love. And today we're just going to talk about three. We're going to talk about Felucia, storge, and agape. And let me give you the definitions of each one individually, okay? So Felucia refers to how people see themselves, right? It's how they feel about their body and their mind. It's that self-love. And ancient Greeks believed that Felucia was the most important kind of love because you can't give what you don't have, right? If you don't have love for self, you can't give it. You can't share it, right? And you can't begin to extend feelings of love in any form to anyone else. Felucia is that self-love that we have. It's that sense of being comfortable in your skin and allowing your self-confidence to grow, right? Really important. And you had that self-confidence because of the experiences that you have, okay? Storge is that protective love that we feel for family and friends, and we know that family is by blood and by choice, right? That we feel for family and friends, and this kind of love is rooted in kinship and allegiance. It's that unspoken bond that you have with people that transcends sexual desire, right? It's not that sexual desire kind of love, or even the friendship that you have. And it's driven by familiarity and belonging and dependency. And last but not least is agape. And again, if you're in the church, right? If you're in the church, you know that agape is that self-sacrificing type of love. It's that love that you're just willing to give without expecting anything in return. Like, I'm going to give this to you and expect nothing back. So when I started telling people I love them, I didn't expect them to tell me they love me back. But when they did, I'm like, wow, that actually is kind of nice to get that back. So it's that self-sacrificial love. And we don't expect anything else in return. It's that empathetic love that extends to everybody, right? To family and friends and even strangers alike. Because we can sacrifice for someone that we don't even know, we never met, right? Ashe? Okay. Agape is that pay-it-forward approach to love, where you show universal kindness to others, and you offer understanding to those in need, okay? So these are the three types of love we're going to talk about today. Felucia, storge, and agape. Okay, so let's go back to the practice. And, since it was 2 slides, I'm just going to go to the last, I'm going to go to the last 2 sentences of the ethic of love. So, again, this leveraging of the affective, emotion, trust, hope, trauma, healing moves the discourse deliberately as an inroad to the cognitive. And by approaching one's practice, how we interact with students, right, with an ethic of love applies this holistic approach. Body, mind, and spirit, Felucia, storge, and agape. Okay, Ashe? Thank you with the forward thinking, Ashe. All right, so I told y'all this is peppered with academic sources and pop culture, so here we go. All right, this is my go-to karaoke song, all right? I sound horrible when I sing it. Who got the next lyric? Can we talk for a minute? Want to know your name. I sound horrible. That's my go-to karaoke song. I sound horrible. All right, okay. All right, so I was hired at Chaffey in 2008, as Brent said in my bio, as an assistant textbook buyer. I think you guys, many of you, knew me in that role. And I was excited to be back on campus. I hadn't been here since the 90s. And relatively quickly, I met some of the other black folks who work on campus. Some of them are in my bestie crew now, right? So 16 years later, so my besties are Chaffeyans. And one of the first things I was told about Chaffey's culture for black folks is that it was frowned upon for us to wear braids. Let me get to the rest of the story then, okay? It was frowned upon for black women to wear braids. And at the time, I had my hair in a relaxer, it was straight. I hadn't worn braids in a while and didn't have any intentions of getting braids anytime soon. But I thought, ugh, I don't like that. But, I'm on probation, so I'm going to roll with it, right? I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to roll with it. I say, yes. And for the non-tenure folks, same thing. Probation, they don't have tenure yet, same thing, right? So, we keep our mouth shut. So getting braids is a process, right? So let me start by getting braids is a process. It's hours of sitting. It's a couple $100 out of your pocket. And depending on who your braider is, a tight scalp, right? So y'all don't know these braids right here and the ones like right here, they be so tight, right? Super tight. But braids are freedom, right? It's what's known as a protective style. So black women don't have to use a bunch of heat products or heat styling tools or products. So it's a protective style. It's freedom. It's nice to have braids. You just get up and do that and keep on going. So it's a process to put them in, but it's also a process to take them out, okay? So let me tell you a braid story. Okay, so fast forward, in 2012, I met one of the members of my bestie crew. She was a former Chaffeyan when I met her, and we didn't have any overlap. So I started in 2008. She was already gone. So, but I met her, and one of the first things that we talked about is me working here, and she came with a story. She also said, like, oh, do they let black women wear braids there now? And I was like, oh my God, you had a story? So here's her story. We're gonna call her Big. So I told you my girlfriends, we're beautiful, intelligent girlfriends, B-I-G, that's we call each other Big. So I'm the youngest of the crew, so I'm Little Big, but we call each other Big. So we're gonna call my bestie, we're gonna call her Big. And to protect the guilty, I'm not gonna say where she worked or who she worked for, okay? And this is her story. Big comes to work on a Monday, fresh braids, tight scalp, braids swinging, and because my bestie crew is cute, she came to work looking cute. And before she got to her desk, she ran into another black colleague. And the black colleague complimented her on her braids and ended the conversation with, did our boss see it yet? And Big said no. Big walked to her office and walked past her first level manager's office, her boss, peeked in and said, morning, and just kept on pushing, went to her desk. A few hours later, Big's first level manager calls her and say, hey, can you meet me in X's office? So in an administrator's office. So Big's first level manager's office. Yep, all y'all eyes is wide, right? So Big walks over, pleasantries are exchanged, and the conversation goes like this. Hey, Big, we love how hard you work, but, we work in an area where we interact with a lot of people on campus. We interact with administrators and faculty and staff and sometimes the community, and we also model for our students. And we have an expectation that a professional, you have Joy's over here shaking her head hard, like, what is coming? It's coming. And we have an expectation of professionalism, and your hair does not reflect the professionalism that we expect. Say what? Right. I'm gonna clutch my curls. I'm gonna clutch my pearls real quick. I'm gonna clutch it. Right. Right. And Big, because she is professional, responds with, I beg to differ. Ashe. She says, I beg to differ. And they continue to talk about how great she is at her work and how they value her as an employee, but they don't take back what all the rest of us would call an insult, right? So the conversation ends, Big walks back to her office, hot, boiling, pissed off, whatever you want to call it, all of the above. But she came back to work the next day with her braids, swinging, scalp still tight, all right? And she came back the next day, and the next day, the week, By week, she came back the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and in her words, she let them braids get raggedy. Right. Ashe? And the whole time those braids were getting raggedy, she was looking for another job. Because she's like, this ain't the place for me. This is not the place for me, right? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So can you imagine like excelling at your job, being great at what you do, being respected and loved by your colleagues, and the only criticism that somebody has is your choice of hairstyle, right? Ashe? All right, so here's my story. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So when I received notice that I was granted an interview for the tenure track position, I was excited. I was working for academics with faculty center at the time, but I was working with Arden. I was teaching part-time, and I was really excited. I had applied a bunch of places, and this was my first interview, right? So I get the notice, I get the interview, and I call another one of my Bestie Crew members who is an administrator at Cal Poly, right? She also wears her hair naturally, but in comparison, I got a lot of hair, right? Y'all see how big this is, and it gets a little bigger every single day. So we're just talking about, you know, what I think the questions are going to be, and what did they ask you for the teaching demo, and what are you going to wear, right? And then she asked the question, girl, what you going to do with your hair, right? And I knew why she asked that question. I knew exactly what she meant when she asked that question, because we all know that first impressions are important, and she was concerned that someone on the committee would have some implicit bias, or they would see my hair as a distraction. And when I told her, I was like, girl, everybody at Chaffey know my hair. They know my hair. So it would probably be weird if I came with a slick back ponytail. So I'm just going to roll with the big fro. And she just was probably like, oh, good, that's one less thing for you to worry about, right? But we had to think about it. We had to have the conversation about it. And I'd had the internal conversation about it. Had I applied anyplace else and was granted a first-level interview, I would have had a slick back ponytail. That's what I would have done, because it's safe. It's safe, right? Because I wanted them to have that first impression that I was professional, right? Ashe? Okay. The perception of professional hair is an obstacle for many black women. And in the midst, come on, give me the ashes, right? It's an obstacle for many black women. And in the midst of the pandemic, in October 2020, right? So we at home, right? Nobody's out in the street, we at home. A viral tweet brought to light a Google search with results for unprofessional hairstyles for work. And this is what it came up with. That's a Google search. Right? Y'all see it up there. It says unprofessional hairstyles. That's what it says, Google. Right? And listen, these sisters look like me. This poor woman ended up having on Good Morning America talking about, how did I end up in this Google search, right? She was like, I don't even know how my image got up in there, but I was, how did that, and look how cute she is, right? But this brought to light, you know, where the vast majority, if we look at the vast majority of these hairstyles are just black women with their natural hair, right? Her hair braided up. Her hair braided up. I mean, for the vast majority, these are just regular old black girl hairstyles, right? There's some crazy stuff on there, but the majority of this, right? And listen, in 2020, we was cameras on, cameras off, so we could have been like this anyway. Okay? And not to be overlooked, when the Google search for professional hairstyles is sought, these are the results, right? White, straight-haired women. I mean, that's just what it is. This is white, straight-haired women. So this bias makes for serious conversations for black women on how we wear our hair. And this is why my bestie asked that question, right? 80% of black women have reported having to change their hairstyle to fit their workplace. 80%. Black women's hair is 2.5 times more likely to be perceived as unprofessional. 20% of black women ages 25 to 34 have reported being sent home from work because of their hair. And even when women secure a position, people with textured or coily hair, which is what I have, are twice as likely to experience microaggressions than their straight-haired black counterparts. Ashe? All right, this is the one that hurts my heart a little bit. 100%. I'm like, the clicker was mad too. 100% of black elementary school girls who attend predominantly white schools say they experience hair bias and discrimination by the age of 10. That's 4th grade, right? So it gets ingrained. It gets ingrained in us, unfortunately. SB 188, the Crown Act. Yes. Some of y'all ain't never heard this. The black one up in here know what it is, right? We know what it is. The Crown Act, create a respectful and open workplace for natural hair. SB 88 was introduced in California in 2019 by Assemblywoman Melissa Harris from Los Angeles. In 2020, the California State Senate enacted it and Governor Newsom signed it into law. This law prohibits discrimination based on hairstyle or hair texture, right? And it extends protection under the Fair Employment and Housing Act and the California Ed Code, okay? So you cannot use hairstyle or hair texture to hire someone, to fire, to deny housing, and it can't be a punitive action in school. Ashe, yes. It was the first legislation passed at the state level to prohibit such discrimination. So, yes, y'all, there is a law to protect my choice of hairstyle. Isn't that crazy? Right? There's a law to protect my hair. Subsequently, the Crown Act has been passed in 22 states, including Texas, which threw me off. Like, Texas and Florida don't never do nothing right. Texas and Florida never do it right, but it passed in Texas. Florida, not so much. No, it's not there yet, but it's passed in Texas. I was shocked. But it's been passed by the House of Representatives in 21 and 22. However, it has not been passed in the Senate. So it goes up every year. Has not been passed in the Senate, okay? All right, so here's some of the hairstyles I've had in my time here at Chaffey. I'm all over the place. I am all over the place. And in my 16, it's been more than this, but I can only fit so many in the thing, right? I can only fit so many in. So here's my hairstyles. And, you know, inevitably, there have been some looks and some weird conversations. Do I feel like I've ever faced discrimination because of my hair at Chaffey? No. Do I ever feel like there's been bias, uncomfortable conversations, insensitive conversations? Absolutely, absolutely. The curious and unfiltered will ask questions like, let me see, let me make sure I do it. How did it get so long overnight? That's a weave. That's how I got long overnight. Or braids. Like, or, here's worse. Is this all your hair? No. It can't be, right? Or why'd you cut it so short? I don't know. I just did. I had always had long hair, so I cut it short. Or how did you do that? That's a head wrap. Yes, I come to work with a head wrap on. If you haven't seen me, I come to work with a head wrap on, right? So I get these questions, and like I said, sometimes they're curious, sometimes they're unfiltered, and sometimes it's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? One of my I'm just going to say her name, Dr. Hall, Teresa Hall, my former dean, wasn't able to make it today. She's on a trip with her bestie, and I appreciate her. But Dr. Hall always would ask me questions in a way like, help me understand. Like, she put a qualifier on it. Like, I'm going to ask this question because I want to know more. It's much different than, girl, like, how did your hair, like, is that all your hair? There's no way. That's all, you saw me yesterday, right? And wait, is it mine? Yes, because I have a receipt for it. Ashe? All right. So the questions are one thing, but the worst things are the slow motion reach-ins. Again, y'all see the sisters over here? Ashe, sisters? The slow motion reach-in where I have to like Neo Matrix, right? Or karate chop someone from touching my hair, like it's a pet, right? And now, again, it's like, can I touch it because I want to feel the texture? Or can I ask, but just like it's like you don't touch a pregnant woman's belly, like you don't touch a black woman's hair, okay, Ashe? Okay, Ashe, all right. So that's your public service announcement. Don't just reach out and touch it. What's that song? Reach out and touch somebody's hand, don't touch their hair. Don't touch their hair, okay? All right. Okay, so how do I use this in the ethic of love? Like, how does this manifest in the ethic of love? How do I use my body, right? How do I use my body in the ethic of love, right? So we model self-love. The emotion team, we model self-love. We validate, acknowledge, and celebrate the identities of our students, right? Because y'all saw how many hairstyles I had, right? And there, as I'm gonna put her on blast, as Anita Whiteside would say, don't look for my face, don't look for my hair, look for my face. Because I'll come to work on Friday with one hair, come to work on Monday with different hair, right? So I say. So we affirm identities. We validate, acknowledge, and celebrate the unique aspects of every student. we understand that often they have intersecting identities, right? That includes ethnicity and gender, sexual orientation, religion, culture, abilities, like all those things, right? I shouldn't tell the story, but I'm gonna tell the story. I had to have surgery on my shoulder. And I haven't been able to get my hand up this high. So I ain't had a puff in a while. So like when I actually was able to get my hair up in a ponytail, I'm like, oh, I'm getting better, right? Because I can get it, right? It was a big thing, right? So we practice self-love with the students. We affirm their identity, and that involves creating environments where they feel like seen and respected, right? And valued for who they are. We have honest conversations with our students on how to navigate those uncomfortable conversations, right? Because they have them too. They have them too. And then, y'all, I come in with hair and nails and lashes and a lip and a shoe, all right? And an amazing handbag. I come in as my whole self and all my, sometimes I come in like, a little pep in myself, a little something. I come in as my whole self, like, right? There's a term called code switching, where you come in, not as your full self, or you have your customer service voice. You talk on the phone one way, and you're talking, right? I come in as me in all spaces. Ashe. And I thank you, Chaffey, for letting me. Now, I don't know, people say when I leave, but when I come in, everybody cool with it, okay? So we show up as our whole selves, and we see outside of our roles as Professor Johnson, Counselor McLaren, right? Or mentors. We model self-love, and we allow the students to love on themselves, right? We love on them, right? Remember, the Greek said, Felucia, self-love was one of the most important kinds of love, because if you don't have it, you can't give it to other people. Ashe? All right. Okay. All right. Who got it? Who got the next lyric? It was all a dream. Thank you. Yes. That's more people than I thought. Okay. I don't know. I can't see past like the fourth row, but that fifth row, like, okay, y'all had it. Y'all had it. Okay. So I want you to meet third grade Tara Lynn Russell. Third grade Charlotte. Somebody said looking like my daughter Ava Scarlett. Yeah. So meet third grade Tara. I grew up on 11976 Peach Street in Linwood, California. And if you don't know LA, Linwood is sandwiched between Compton and Watts. Okay, and I grew up there in the 80s, so some of y'all thinking like, dang, Tara from the hood. Yep. I did. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the hood. It is fully in me. It's why I am a bamboo earring aficionado. I have a dozen pair. Why Nike Cortez is my favorite shoe. I'll be making custom ones now because, I got little coins in my pocket so I can make a custom shoe. And it's why I love red Kool-Aid, because we didn't drink soda at home. We drank red Kool-Aid. Ashe? Okay. So y'all, most of you guys know Professor Johnson. Some folks near know Linwood Tara, but they're two different. They are two different. They're two different chicks. I show up as a mixture of both. Okay. So Peach Street was very diverse. Peach Street and most of the surrounding streets around us, even though it was the hood 80s, right? We had a diverse community, right? We had a mix of two-parent homes. My parents were married. The house that we owned, they had a renter. We had single-parent families. We had multi-generational families. I really should know how to speak Spanish. It don't make no sense I don't, right? Because there was just as many Hispanic folks and black folks on our street, and they spoke Spanish, and I should too. And I grew up, I went to Charles A. Lindbergh Elementary School. And my school was like my community. My teachers were black and white and brown. And even though it was the hood, right, I don't feel like I had like a bad education, right? We had arts and crafts and sports teams, and our lunches were good. There was nothing like that corner piece of pizza. That one in the corner, you was like, and then peaches. I don't know why canned peaches were so good in the 80s, but they were good. They were so good, right? So I feel like I had a great experience at Charles Lindbergh Elementary, and I had great teachers, right? And third grade Tara had Miss Apt, okay? APT, like the abbreviation for apartment, Miss Apt. And Miss Apt looked like Carol Brady, She had a shag and everything, and she was just a lot of fun. She was really kind of eccentric, and she was really into arts. We did a lot of arts and crafts in her class, and to this day, the Christmas ornaments I made in Miss App's class, my mama still puts on the Christmas tree. Ashe. She said Ashe. My mom said Ashe. Say 1980, they were like some little cookies that we made. You know, they had, I think, one piece, now it has like 2 pieces of glitter left on it. Like they're, say 1980 on the back of them, but she still puts them on the tree. She still puts them on the tree. So Miss Apt was great. I loved Miss Apt. And on my report card, she wrote, Tara is an ideal student. She's cooperative, good-natured, and eager to learn. She continues with her good work habits. And she gave me a best overall learner certificate. Now, we know that's problematic now, right? To single out a student as the best overall learner, but, you know, it was the 80s, so we'll go with that, okay? All right, so now I want you to meet 4th grade Tara, okay? Listen, I was in my Pippi Longstocking phase, okay? Pippi Longstocking was my first hero. Anybody else? Ashe? Shit. Pippi and Annika could do anything. They could do anything. So I was in my Pippi Longstocking phase. But in 4th grade, I had Mr. Holzer, okay? And Mr. Holzer was stern, but eccentric at the same time. And he's what Professor Johnson would call as progressive. So in the 4th grade, Mr. Holzer's class, like we didn't have to sit in the same spot every day. So, you know, like sometimes you're like, I don't like her today, so I don't want to sit next to her, right? Mr. Holzer didn't care. We can come in every day. We sat where we wanted to sit. He kind of just like gave us our work. He walked around, but we could talk amongst ourselves as long as we were quiet. And if we finished our work, we could just go get a book. He had a whole wall of books, and they weren't 4th grade books. He just had a whole wall of books. And if you finish your work, go get a book and read, okay? So, love Mr. Holzer. He, again, grown-up Tara says that he may go into school fun. Okay, I don't know what 4th grade Tara said, but 52-year-old Tara says school was fun, right? So one night, Mr. Holzer called. He called the house, and my mom came in my room and said, Mr. Holzer called, and he wants to talk to us about you. And I'm like, what did I tell you? Right? Okay, so for a second, I need to talk to my Gen Xers, my latchkey kids, my take the chicken out the freezer, my drink out the water hose, my get home before the street light come on, people. What was I thinking? I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I was thinking, I am in trouble. And not that I was never on my best behavior, but I was on my super best behavior, right? And I spent a couple days with a pit in my stomach. And then finally the day came, and Mr. Holzer talked to my parents, and what he wanted to talk to them about was a test that we had taken. He wanted to talk about the comprehensive test of basic skills, which was an elementary school test. And since I told you my mom says everything, here it is. Yes, I still have it, okay? So 4th grade Tara, reading comprehension, 5th grade, language expression, basically 10th grade level, math applications, 9th grade, reference skills, 8th grade. And what Mr. Holzer wanted to talk to my parents about is that he had been giving me 5th grade level work for months, and he just decided, like, she's ready to go to 6th grade. Like, it's a waste of time for her to go. She's going to be bored. So he decided that I should just go to 6th grade, so that's what I did. I went from, good catch. I went for, listen, I had to lotion up because my skin type is normally ashy, so I had to put extra moisture on today in front of y'all. So, listen, some of y'all know the Rusty Russell story. Some of y'all know that story, okay? All right? So I was fortunate in my educational journey that I had instructors that, recognized that I was smart, and not smart for a black girl or not smart for somebody that grew up in the hood, but they really just encouraged me to be curious and ask questions, and they told me that I had the keys to be successful. So I was fortunate with that. So fast forward, again in my bio we talked about I moved to Bloomington in high school, graduated from Faux High in 1989. Go Steelers. Go Steelers. Ain't no other Steelers in here, am I the only one? Okay, thank you. Okay, go Steelers. Graduated from Faux High and 17-year-old Tara enrolled here at Chaffey. And I had a short stint here. I had some great experiences here. Dawn Sharp was my favorite instructor, if y'all remember Dawn. I guess now we call it a PAL, but I was a TA for Karen Lyman, and my major was history, right? So I don't even know how she's just like, hey, you want to be my TA? Sure, right? So my employee number starts with a 2. So for those of y'all my employee number starts with a 2. That's how long I've been on the books. And as my bio states, I never saw a counselor or got an ed plan and just transferred to San Diego State when I was ready to go, okay? So I transferred to San Diego State. And transferring really, it can be challenging. They say freshman year is challenging, but transferring is even harder because you come in and everybody already have their friend groups established. Like the people in your classes that are in your, those upper division classes, like they already know each other. So transferring is really hard. And if you know anything about San Diego State, in the 90s, it was a party school. Bona fide, it's not, oh, somebody said still, not bad, we're gonna talk about that in a second. It was a bona fide party school, like top 10 ranked in the nation party school, right? But, Ashe, yes, Ashe. Who else is the Aztec in here? Who else is the Aztec? But here's the kicker, I didn't drink. So I go to this party school, but I don't drink. I partied, but I didn't drink. So very quickly, I found my people. Because I was a designated driver, right? Or actually, maybe the people found me. They're like, she don't drink, let's roll with Tara, all right? So very quickly, I found my people, and in short order, I started, in that first semester that I transferred, sorry, let me go for it. The first semester I transferred, I started writing opinion for the newspaper, the Daily Aztec. So because of one of the folks that I was designated driving for was the editor, he's like, hey, come work for us. So once a week, something pressing my little 19-year-old heart, I would write an article. I could write an article about. And every now and then, I'd have conversations with students before class, or maybe an instructor would chime in, and I even got some hate mail. So sometimes our editor he would pick the topic for us, right? He would pick the topic, and we would do like something in a series where 2 or 3 or 4 of us would write on the same topic. And for some reason, which is crazy because now the person who was my editor now is he's the head district attorney for New Orleans. So every now and then I see him on CNN, I'm like, oh, look at Derwin. So he gave us a title, and the title was Jews, Blacks, and History. Okay, I don't know why he picked that title. I honestly don't even remember what I wrote. Okay, but I know it was me and two other authors that wrote. So the art paper comes out on Wednesday. Thursday, I go to my art history class, and very ceremoniously before the class starts, my instructor says, hey, Tara, can you come up to the podium? And he says, I read your article, here are the corrections. And then just like slapped the newspaper in my hand, and I was like, well, I probably didn't make that face because I used to hold my face better, I'll say that. at a younger age, I hold my face better. Now I'm just like, what? So I say. So he hands it to me. I just kind of shove it in my bag and sit through class a little annoyed. I walk out of class. I read the article. I pull it out of my bag, and it's just, there's 3 people that have written, and it's just mine, that they're just like red marks and just red marker everywhere. And it was grammar and punctuation, and then they were just like questions behind like question marks behind some of the sentences, and I'm just like, it felt personal, right? It felt personal. So after I left that class, the next class I had an English composition class in the Africana Studies department. So Africana Studies department at San Diego State had a lot of the GE classes that were taught by a Black instructor. So like Dr. Cornwallis taught French. Actually, if any of you know Sister Locks, I know some folks that were Sister Locks. The person that invented Sister Locks, Dr. Cornwallis, was one of the professors at San Diego State. So she taught French, but she also taught French literature, and she would do like Black authors and talk about like the French Harlem Renaissance. So there was always that kind of that intermix, right? So I took an English composition class, and my instructor at the time was Dr. Shirley Weber. And you may now know Dr. Shirley Weber as Secretary of State. So Secretary of State Shirley Weber taught, she was a tenured professor at San Diego State for more than 40 years. So I had Dr. Weber, and Dr. Weber was the campus auntie. Okay, Dr. Weber was a person that you could ask her anything, and she would either give you sage advice or she would make you pull your whole life together, one of the 2 things, right? It was like, you never know what you're going to get with Dr. Weber, but you were always like, should I ask? But Dr. Weber was our campus auntie. So after class, I told Dr. Weber I wanted to talk to her. We walk over to her office. I pull the article out of my bag, and she looks at it, and she was just like, oh, you struck a nerve. She didn't read it. She just like, I was like, because I told her, like, oh, my art history instructor, She's like, you struck a nerve. She's like, who is it? I named him. He was one of her colleagues, because Africana Studies was in the College of Arts and Letters, so she knew who it was. And, her assessment was that that it wasn't even, he just wanted to make me feel small. That's what she said. Tara, this is an attempt to make you feel small, right? And then she stopped and she read the article. And I told her, I'm like, he don't even grade this hard. Like, I turned in solid work. I got a solid grade. Like, he doesn't grade this hard. And she read the article, and, she finally continued and said, this man read this article and thought, how dare this little black girl have this opinion, right? And as deflated as I felt, Dr. Weber put me right on. She put me right on back up. And she went on to say that I should expect when I get out in the world to have people that are not supportive, which is crazy because I hadn't had that. I'm 19 and I went to elementary through 12th grade and came to Chaffey, and I never encountered somebody who just wanted to make me feel small and dumb, right? And she said that some of them don't want us here. She's like, and when I say us, I mean me too. Right? So she talked about the challenges that she had as a tenured professor at a degree-granting institution, how she still had challenges with the same thing, with those colleagues not wanting her to be there. And she went on with that sage advice to not let anybody's inability to see things from a different perspective to sway you, right? She told me to, as a black woman in America, just as a black woman in America, that I'm going to get challenged. I'm going to get challenged by professors, by, my boss, by colleagues, and even people that I supervise, right? Ashe? That's right. And this conversation, it stuck with me. It stuck with me, and to this day, it's still stuck with me. And it shaped how I interact in my professional life and in spaces that are run by the dominant culture. 1978, Dr. Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes published the paper titled The Imposter Phenomenon in High-Achieving Women, Dynamics and Therapeutic Interventions. And this is what the abstract states. The term imposter phenomenon is used to designate an internal experience of intellectual phoniness that appears to be particularly prevalent and intense among a select sample of high-achieving women. Certain early family dynamics and later the interjection of societal sex roles, stereotyping appear to contribute significantly to the development of the imposter phenomenon. And despite outstanding academic achievement and professional accomplishments, women who experience the imposter phenomenon persist in believing that they are not really bright and have fooled everyone who thinks otherwise. Numerous achievements, which one might expect to provide ample objective evidence of superior intellectual functioning, do not appear to affect the imposter belief. So we now know this intellectual phoniness as imposter syndrome, right? So imposter phenomenon is where they started. We know that as imposter syndrome. And it's a psychological experience of feeling like a fake or a phony, despite having worked hard and having some success. And it shows up in the context of work and relationships and even friendships. And those with imposter syndrome think of themselves as an undeserving fraud or someone that just got lucky, right? And they didn't actually earn their success. But guess what? Dr. Weber freed me of that, right? Dr. Weber freed me of ever thinking that my opinion doesn't matter, right? That I'm one of the lucky ones, right? So when people say stuff like, oh, you got that because people like you, or, because of X, Y, Z, I smile and think like, nope, that's not it. Ashe, right? Dr. Weber freed me from doubting that my opinion matters, right? She instilled in me that brilliance manifests itself in a lot of different ways. It's not just academic, right? It's not just academic, right? It's empathy and compassion. Ashe. It's how we interact with the world and how we interact with those around us. And it gave me the audacity to say, I deserve to be here. Okay. And even in the context of me, getting this full-time position, there have been times I've had to, justify that I earned this job. Right? People think well, they knew you. I'm just but I interviewed. It's not like they just said, oh, we have a full-time teaching job here, Tara, take it. I went through a competitive process. I don't even know, who knows how many applications there were, right? So I had to go through application, first-level interview, second-level interview, meet with Dr. Shannon before they say, yeah, you got the job, girl, right? So no, I deserve to be here. I deserve it. I deserve it. All right? So even in spaces where I may be like the junior person on staff, or in a space where there's a bunch of EDDs and PhDs and people with more degrees, even in those spaces with those people, or even with people higher up on the org chart, I'm comfortable sharing my opinion, right? I'm comfortable. And some of y'all, this first row right here, y'all can attest. Y'all can attest that I didn't say, I definitely said something above my pay grade. Definitely. It might have been spicy, and you might have said I was a little crazy after I said it, but you asked. I hate to say it. And I believe that my opinion matters. Now, I don't believe that everybody has to agree with my opinion, but I'm not going to sit quietly and not go against the grain, because sometimes that happens here, right? People are like, thank you, say Ashe. Sometimes we be sitting around like, who gonna say it? I have literally been in meetings where we text each other like, who gonna say it, right? It's usually me. It's usually me. Ashe. So how does this manifest under the ethic of love, right? So how do we use our minds and our intellect in the holistic approach, right? So the first thing we do is we acknowledge and normalize feelings. These feelings are normal. Ashe, thank you. We empower students to challenge and overcome those feelings of self-doubt, inadequacy, and fear, right? They're normal, right? You have to have a skill it's a muscle that you have to practice, right? To tamp down those, right? And more importantly, we celebrate achievements. Somebody do something great. Listen, me and Brent always ready to bust out a two-step when somebody does. So when something happens, and we're like, that's the first thing. We don't even have no words. We do a little dance first. We celebrate. We celebrate achievements. We take time to acknowledge and celebrate student accomplishments, right? And what this does for the students, it gives them a greater sense of self-confidence and self-worth and resilience. And they know that we love on them, right? The interesting thing is that with the Emoja community now is like, students, they're with us, and then they leave and they go to someplace else, and they come back, they're like, it ain't like this at that four-year school. They don't do us like that, like they don't interact with us, they don't love us, they don't do all of these things, right? So I'm not saying we set them up, but we set them up. we set them up. So just like Dr. Weber shared with me, I let them know that brilliance is not just academic, right? It's empathy and compassion. It's how we interact with the world and how we interact with those around us, and that we empower our students to say that they deserve to be here too, right? They deserve to be here. Ashe? Ashe. Ashe. All right, and then add to that the Emoja team, right? Add to that the Emoja team is a team of scholars, and we generally we like each other. We have a good time together. We have a good time supporting the students, right? So, so here we have Barbara Ray and Tanya Cusick and Ty McMickens and Donald Essex, Avatana Ilth and Bradley, which y'all like, why somebody from IT up in there? But Bradley be helping us run them reports. Adam et al. And Charles and Brent and Wanda, and I keep saying Prentice because Prentice just be doing stuff for us. He's not in Emoja, but he be toting water and dropping stuff off. So this is the Emoja team, and the students are really lucky because it's a team of scholars, right? We all have our own interests and passions. And it's that Greek love, that Greek word for love, that storge, that love that's rooted in kinship and allegiance, right? We are tied to each other. It's that unspoken bond that we have with each other and with our students, right? Our students get to see Dr. Emily Kay. They get to see Dr. Emily Kay, founder of the Hip Hop Studies Summit. Yay, come on, Dr. Emily Kay, right? Emily wrote her dissertation on the African-American rhetorical tradition rooted in performance. She wrote about tap dance, y'all. She wrote about how important tap dancing is to the African tradition, but also to the American culture, okay? They get to see Professor Adam et al. Martinez, our resident poet and rapper. They get to see Dr. Ty McMickens, our Black queer feminist. Oh, Brent McLaren down here. Brent is studying the impact of culturally responsive curriculum and classroom for Black students. Right? And Charles Williams. Is Charles Williams, did he make it in here? Charles? He might be in, okay, back there. Okay, Charles Williams back there, right. Y'all, what can I say about Charles Williams? This fool just smart. He is clever. He just started talking sometime. I'll be like this. I mean, our students get this. This is what our students get. And I didn't even name everybody, right? This is what our students get. Our students get to see that the Emoji team, that we are the embodiment of brilliance that manifests itself in many different ways. Ashe? Ashe. Okay. All right. So Stevie said, love's in need of love today. Anybody got the rest? Don't delay. Send it in right away, all right? So it's important that we give them that love right immediately, right? So Stevie said love's in need, okay? All right, this last summer, the Transfer Center hosted a historically black colleges and universities tour, the HBCU tour, and I went on the tour as a chaperone. So it was me, the chaperones were myself, Brent, and Mashla, who's on maternity leave, yay, Mashla, from the Transfer Center, right? So we took about 30 students to five colleges, and if you really want to get to know the students, travel with them, right? If you want to get to know students, travel. Actually, if you want to get to know anybody, travel with them. If you want to get students, travel with them, right? I say, right? So we visited 5 schools. We visited Morgan State. Let me see. I didn't put it up. We visited Morgan State and Bowie State, which are in Maryland. We visited Delaware State in Delaware, Lincoln University in Lincoln, Pennsylvania, and Howard University, the Mecca, in Washington, D.C. And this trip was interesting because it was a mix of students that I knew and I didn't know. That's really African-American accent English, didn't know. So we spent our days touring campuses and having way too much fun on the bus. Way too much fun on the bus. And we spent our evenings, laughing at dinner with the students and touring D.C. So we hit the Lincoln Memorial and the MLK Monument, and we even got to spend a few hours in the National Museum of African American History and Culture. So it was a great trip. It was a great balance of trip and academia, right? And the students were a mix of Emoji students. You see, this is the whole group. This is us at Inner Harbor in Baltimore, Bowie State. In front of the Capitol building. We weren't even supposed to be there. The buses aren't even supposed to pull up there. We was like, get out real quick. So that's the quickest picture we took. And we were in front of the White House, and then another picture at the Lincoln Memorial, holding up the Black Power fist, right? We had a good time. So again, it was a mix of students that I knew, but most of the students I met for the first time when we loaded the bus at 5 a.m. We loaded the bus to get to the airport. So we fly across the country, and at every campus, there's students that are enamored. They're different flavors of campuses, right? So Morgan State and Howard are more urban schools. Morgan State is in Baltimore, Howard's in D.C. Bowie and Delaware State are a little bit more suburban schools. And Lincoln University in Lincoln, Pennsylvania is rural. R-U-R-A-L. And when I say rural, we saw the Amish. We saw Amish wagons. Across the campus was a cornfield. Like it's rural. Like it's so rural that they have their own zip code. The campus has a power plant. Okay, so really tiny school, right? Really rural. But Lincoln University is interesting because it's the first historically black college and university, right in Pennsylvania. Lincoln was founded in 1854 as the first school in the U.S. to provide, these are their words, an education for the scientific, classical, theological education of colored youth of the male sex. Okay, that's what they say. And while Lincoln has many notable graduates, one of their most notable graduates is Langston Hughes, class of 1929. And upon his death in 1967, he bequeathed his personal library to the campus, right? So the Langston Hughes Memorial Library was something to see, okay? And then we went there before we had gone to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and it was something to see because they had they had books that he read that he had notes in. They had books that he hadn't cracked open. They had books that someone had given to him, and they even had a signed copy of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it was just, right, thank you, okay? And it was just like in a case, like this. And it's like, you could touch the glass. The book was right there. It was like, I can't believe this is happening. And, my undergraduate degree is history. I'm a history nerd, a reading buff. So it was exciting to see, like, living history. And the students were excited to see that living history intertwined in their study spaces. So it was really, it was a great trip. And, part of the campus tour, part of every campus's tour was to meet with admissions reps. And with the exception of Howard, all the schools were offering admissions on the spot for our students. So our students, they had their transcripts. They had a whole folder we had ready for them. So several students decided to apply at Lincoln. And one of the students who was super excited to apply, we're going to call her Roxy. Okay, call her Roxy. Y'all know where I got that from. I borrowed that from campus. And Roxy was one of the students that I had met for the first time when we were loading up on the bus, and she did not know another student on the trip. She was, introverted and quiet and kind of small, but because we had too much fun on the bus, and we were intentional and deliberate, the chaperones, but the beauty is the students were too. The students never let another student sit alone. Right? And if they did sit alone, I'd be like, girl, and they'd be like, I got you. Like, I wouldn't have to get the whole sentence out. Like, okay. And they would, so it was exciting to see that community, right? And Roxy wasn't the only student that didn't know anybody else in the tour, but by the time we came back, they had a group chat, and, it was a great experience. So Roxy decided that she wanted to apply, and as we were leaving the library, she was in awe of everything that she had seen in that library. She shared that she was an English major and that she loves creative writing, and her last name is Langston. She was like, Miss Tara. She was like, this all just like everything aligns here. So our tour culminates, and a handful of students decide they're going to apply. They walk upstairs to admissions. And she comes down, like, the rest of us are just kind of hanging out at the bookstore. She comes down the stairs a few minutes later, like, elated, because she got in, right? She got in, yes, Ashe. And she comes down, and I'm like, oh, my God. I was like, you got in? She was like, yes, I got in. She's like, Miss Tara, I feel like I found my place. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited that you found a school that you think you can thrive at. And she said, no, Miss Tara, I feel like I found my place on this earth. Woo! Where'd I put my thing? Oh, here it is. She said she felt that was her place on earth. And just like y'all, I was like, right? And she shared, listen, I can't look at Brent. We be crying, y'all. We be crying sometimes over these students because we love them so much, right? And she went on to share about her life and some of the things that have happened in her short life. And again, for a lot of these students, this is the first time they ever been on an airplane and, navigated, going across the country. And so it was a lot of firsts, right? And she shared that, she's biracial, and she has challenges like, where do I fit in her two identities? She's non-gender conforming. She has a real, like, eclectic aesthetic. She talks about how she doesn't have family support. She's been unhoused. I gotta stop looking at Brent. She's been unhoused. She suffered depression, and she's acted on her suicidal ideation, right? But at that moment in Lincoln, Pennsylvania, she found her place on this earth. Okay? And, yes, I'm doing it. And I'm like, this trip might have saved her life. Right? It was like, this was a turning point. It was a turning point for her, and we got to witness that by loving on her. I know Tamika Carter here someplace. I did what I wasn't supposed to do. I hugged her. I asked first, but I said, can I give you a hug? Listen, I be hugging a lot of people. I always ask first. If they say no, I back up. But I gave her a hug. I told her I'm really proud of her, and she just kind of just like flitted away and went and hung out with the other students. I can't let this go, y'all. I can't let it go. She flitted off with the other students, and I stood there stunned, and I'm like, dang, we do good work. This is life-changing work. This is life-changing work, and we don't even, I'm just like, I just want to be a chaperone. Listen, it was in the summertime. I was off contract. I was gone on my son's birthday. But we love on these students. And then I cried. He was okay with it when I left, but on his birthday, he made me cry. He was like, I miss you, Mom. Like, you don't never say that. Like, you don't never say. I was like, I made the wrong choice. Okay. All right. So that's Roxy's story. So here's the thing. Your purpose isn't the thing that you do. It's the things that happen. It's the thing that happens to other people when you do what you do. Right? Listen, I say all the time, the best things I do at Chaffey, y'all don't pay me to do. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest, you know, when we're recruiting for students for Moja, I don't even remember what it was. We were trying to get students to go to something, and we generally, like, we'll split up the list. We call students, right? And Emily sent me a list, and I was like, okay. She sent me this. I was in Target parking lot making phone calls. Like, let me just knock out 10 calls real quick while Target's bringing my stuff out, right? That's what happened. I mean, that's really what happened, right? So this thing that I see with students on the other side of all this hard work and headache and frustration and fighting that I do a lot of times, like, but then I get a Roxy, right? I get a Roxy moment, and I've had a lot of Roxy moments. Ashe? All right, so I'm about to say I'm an empath. Y'all saw me cry. I'm an empath, and I'm highly attuned to the feelings and emotions of the people around me, right? I have the ability to sense and understand the emotional experiences of others, and I often experience those emotions on a deep level myself. More than one of y'all have seen me cry on campus. Sometimes it's out of frustration, sometimes it's out of being happy, sometimes it's out of fear, sometimes it's out of lack of support. Sometimes I'm mad, right? Sometimes I'm just mad about something, right? But like a sponge, I soak up the energies and feelings of those that I encounter, right? And, you know, most of y'all know I like to come in like this. You know, I come in generally with a smile in my heart. But, you know, soaking up those energies and feelings, they're a gift and a curse. It's a challenge too. But it enables me to connect with students on a profound level, foster understanding and compassion. And I recognize and understand the significant importance of addressing students' social, emotional, and academic needs, right? It's not one, you can't do one. The other two influence the one, right? So it's really important. And doing this work can be an emotional roller coaster, right? Highs and lows. I can have highs and lows in a day. But tapping into that affective domain that I talked about, that emotion and hope, trust, trauma, healing, that's the one, right? Healing. It requires for me to be vulnerable, and sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it's exhausting. In addition to being a black woman in America, sometimes, y'all, I am black-exhausted. Sometimes I'm tired. I'm tired of what's happening to the black people, what's not happening to the black people. Like, sometimes I am black-exhausted. But I know this work is important, and there's evidence that a diverse faculty population is better for all students, every student, not just the black students, for all students, right? That it improves educational quality, and specifically diversity of racial and cultural backgrounds on campus is essential for every student, every single student. And the entire campus culture is improved when people are exposed to different viewpoints, making the learning environment more inclusive and dynamic. Ashe, I heard it over there. I heard somebody whisper it. Thank you. Thank you. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, 7% of tenured faculty in the United States are black, 4% female, and 3% male. And I was pleased to find out that Chaffey is at that 7%. I would like it to be higher, but we are at that 7%, right? But this small group of faculty, me included, we confront an undue burden, which is referred to as the time and effort tax and the minority tax. And this disproportionately requires black faculty to participate in efforts that include a combination of recruiting, mentoring, teaching, committee membership, and conducting trainings or workshops to improve the institution's DEI goals. So when I say I'm calling students from the Target parking lot, I didn't tell y'all on a Saturday morning, right? That's a tax. When I was on a trip with students and I missed my son's birthday, it's a tax. Ashe? And these challenges, this minority tax cuts across marginalized groups. So just not black faculty, but faculty with different abilities or immigration status or LGBTQIA plus identity. And it's even more so for those that have those intersectional identities, because they're pulled in two different directions, right? They're pulled in two different directions. But the Umoja community, we speak to the heart of these intersections. And as crucial as the Umoja community is for the students, it's just as crucial for me. These my people. Ashe? Ashe. Okay. All right. So Umoja, the word Umoja itself is a key Swahili word. It's a Swahili word, and it's a word that means unity. And the Umoja community is a critical resource dedicated to enhancing the cultural, educational experiences of African American and other students. So we lean on the black students. We have plenty of students in Umoja that aren't black. They are connected to us, right? It's always been that way. So when people think that Umoja is a black student group, that's not the case. We are an all-student group. However, they need to know what perspective we're coming from, right? They need to know what perspective we're going to come from, okay? And we believe that when the voices and histories of students are deliberately and intentionally recognized, the opportunity for self-efficacy emerges, right? And that's how the foundation is formed for academic success. The Umoja community is a program. Say it with me. Program. It's not a club or just a club. It's not a committee or just a committee. It's a program that actively serves to promote student success for all students through curriculum and pedagogy. The side effect is the social and emotional things that we do. But it really is a program that's focused on curriculum and pedagogy. And along with 18 practices that Umoja has, they also have these organizational values, okay? So you saw the 18 practices. We also have these rituals, and we also have these values. And first is ritual. You saw me start with it, right? We engage in cultural practices rooted in the African traditions to strengthen community and the people within it, right? We want them to know where they come from, right? It fosters a sense of connection, identity, and continuity with ancestral history, heritage and values. We connect to the African diaspora. So when we say we have students in there not black, but you're going to get connected to the African diaspora, because that's what we do. And we expand students' cultural awareness of the diaspora by articulating their place in that experience, right? And even when we have students that aren't of African descent, we still magnify they teach us their culture, right? We get from them, right? So it's really important. And this promotes cultural pride and identity affirmation and a deeper understanding of the historical and contemporary contributions to African people around the world, okay? Students are our highest priority. Now I'm going to just say this. These are not in any order, okay? Because students are our highest priority. Should be number one. It's not in any order. But we serve to promote student success for all students, and this commitment ensures that every student is supported, valued, empowered to achieve their full potential academically, socially, and personally. We have culturally relevant pedagogy and practices, and I'm going to talk really about this one in the last section. We develop curriculum relevant to students' lives for learning. This approach acknowledges and incorporates students' cultural backgrounds, experiences, perspectives into teaching and learning processes, making education more meaningful, engaging, and fun. The students in the Umoja program, generally Brent is their counselor. We also have Ajane who does part-time counseling. But when they're creating students' ed plans, they're very intentional on whose class they put them in, right? So I teach fashion, history of fashion right now, or CalGETC right now, it fulfills a CSU requirement. So they put black students in my class, right? So they have a field requirement and they get to learn from a black student, right? Many of us in our educational journey did not have a black instructor along the way. Many of you that aren't black in your educational journey, right, didn't have a black instructor along the way. So it's really important that they learn from someone that looks like them, okay? We build community, okay? We create an environment where we encourage the students to be accountable to each other. So as a faculty member, I don't need to call and say, why haven't you turned in your assignment? Because your classmate is like, girl, why didn't you turn your assignment? Let's work on this assignment together, right, Ashe? Right? So be accountable for each other's learning. And this fosters a sense of belonging and collaboration and collective responsibility, right, for academic achievement and personal growth. We tell the students, instructors don't give grades, got the grade you earned, right? Ashe, you got the grade you earned. Listen, I get real slick with it, and I say, Canvas calculated your grade as. I take me out of it completely. Canvas calculated your grade based on your submitted assignments. That's what I roll with, right? It's the truth. It's the truth. And we touch the spirit. We use that holistic approach that I've been talking about to reach their body, mind, and spirit. And we understand the interconnectedness of physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And that seeks to nurture students in holistic development. And then finally, this ethic of love, again, in our practices and our values, right? We express compassion and care in our learning communities. This ethic emphasizes empathy, respect, and support for all members of the community, fostering an inclusive environment that's conducive to learning and growth. So we see the ethic of love just not as a practice, but as a value, right? You know, they say if you want to know whether somebody believes something to be true, they say it 3 times. Well, we just said it twice already, right? It's a practice and it's a value, right? So how do we practice the ethic of love using my spirit in the holistic approach? So knowingly and unknowingly, I try to engage in acts of kindness and service towards others. I try to spread love and positivity in my daily life, whether it's a simple gesture like the, I see you, just you on campus, I see you, head nod. I love to give compliments, and if you get a compliment from me, it's genuine. I'm not a BSer. Like, if I say you looking cute, okay? I love giving compliments because here's the thing, people don't get compliments. And let me just say this too. If I give you a compliment, just take it. Because some people are like, oh, well, I don't. They like try to downplay. I'm like, I just said you look cute. Don't be like, these pants are old, or you're cute. Just take it. Just take the, thank you. That's what you do. That's what I do. Somebody tell me I look cute, like, thank you. You know too. Because I know. Ashe, I got that from Keisha's mom. Keisha's mom be like, you know too? Yes, we do know, right? I nourish my spirit, and I want to create positive ripple effects in this community, right? And I practice mindfulness in my interactions with others around me. And by being present and attentive, I create a space for love to arise naturally in my spirit, okay? One more story, maybe. Oops. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I didn't go fast enough. One more story. Here we are. One more story. In my first 10 years at Chaffey, I was a classified professional. And again, many of you know my first position was as assistant textbook buyer in the campus store. And as my bio stated before that, I worked for some luxury retailers, including Nordstrom's and Ralph Lauren. And at heart, I still say I'm a Nordy at heart, right? I'm a Nordy at heart. And when I say that at heart, like y'all thinking, like, you like to shop at Nordstrom's? I do. But the Nordstrom way is ingrained in me, right? And the Nordstrom way was practicing mindfulness in your interactions with your customer, right? And active listening, so really listening to what they want. So I say that I'm a Nordy at heart. So even though my job in the bookstore was assistant textbook buyer, I was often called to resolve high-level customer service issues, right? So sometimes even the director would be like, go get Tara. All right, somebody gets nutty or irate or annoyed, they call me. So right after I took this picture, a student stopped me, right? And she was just like, oh my God, I've been trying to find you. And I was like, okay, right? And I had just become a faculty member. This was the spring of 2018, so this is my second semester on my tenure track. And she's like, I've been trying to find you for years. And I'm like, okay. She's like, do you remember me? I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, I'm graduating this weekend because of you. And I'm like, what? Now, listen, y'all, I tell you, this is my second semester as a full-time faculty member, so I'm like, I ain't got nobody through. How is this possible? Right? So then she tells me this story. She said in the first semester that she was at Chaffey, in the first few weeks at Chaffey, she took a class and bought the book at the bookstore. And y'all remember back in the day, actually I think they still do it. We had some books that are wrapped in plastic. They had a sticker on it that said, it can't return it if it's unwrapped, right? So she had bought one of those books. She needed to return the book, and she came to the bookstore to return the book. And she went to the window. The lady at the window kept saying, no, you can't return it. No, you can't return it. No, you can't return it. And she said she started to get upset, and they went to get me. She's like, they went to get you. She's like, you came inside of the window, and I told you the story, and you pretty much said the same thing, like, I'm sorry, you know, it's unwrapped, it's past the return period, whatever I said, I don't know. And I told her no, she couldn't return the book. And she said, I was so frustrated that day. And she said, I kind of mumbled, and my bestie crew know I got super hearing, so it could be that she really mumbled. She said, I kind of mumbled, maybe the school thing just isn't for me, I'm going to quit. And she said, I reached through the window and I grabbed her arm and I said, no, you're not. And I walked around, we took her back to my desk. I ended up returning the book for her. Ended up, listen, I probably broke a policy, who knows. But when she said, I'm not doing this, I was like, yes, you are. We're going to figure this out, right? She said, I helped her with another book. I got what she needed, and in the time that we were talking, I told her about EOPS and about the book grant and some resources on campus. She said, you just really felt concerned. And she said, that day, I was ready to quit. She's like, I had a negative interaction with the instructor for that class, and that's why I was going to drop the class and return the book. And she said, I just really didn't know if I could do school. She's like, but you helped me, and stop it. You helped me, and I kept going. I got in touch with some resources, and she's like, here I am about to graduate. And I'm like, dang. I was like, that's kind of awesome. And she just said thank you, and she walked away. And this is outside of the Panther pantry, not the Panther pantry, the convenience store on the other side, on the other side. So she just kind of like walked to her car, and I kind of stood there like, dang, I don't even remember this interaction, right? And I know that you in this space, we've had these interactions we don't even know about, right, that impact our students' lives, that change the trajectory of our students' lives, and we just like going about our day, right? We're just going about our day. So I was a little proud of her. I was a little proud of me, though, too. I was a little proud of me because interaction, because the interaction that I don't even remember, like it changed a student's life and her family's life, right? It changed her legacy. Again, Tamika, I know I'm supposed to, I hugged her, too. I hugged her too. And, you know, it's that definition of agape, right? The pay it forward, where you just show universal kindness to others and offer understanding to those in need. Ashe? Ashe. All right, we almost home. All right, last one. If you know it, I'm going to do the clean version. Because if you know it, you know it's not clean, okay? I messed up, homie, you messed up, but if God got us, then all right. If y'all don't know it, the not clean version is not clean. It's not clean. All right, so love in action, right? Love in action. So, you know, for the past 45 minutes or so, I've been sharing stories, my interactions with colleagues and students, and I'm going to wrap it up by sharing how the Umoja community, how we are centering our cultural curriculum and pedagogy just to build community. Dr. Beverly Tatum is president emerita of Spelman College. She's a clinical psychologist who's widely known for her work on race relations, and she's a thought leader in higher education. Her 25-year-old book, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria, and Other Conversations on Race, recently had a resurgence in the New York Times bestseller list in the aftermath of George Floyd. Dr. Tatum talks about the critical importance of having curriculums, educators, and school communities that are dedicated to affirming students in general, Black students in particular. And she explains the fundamental tenets of this practices in what she calls the ABCs: affirming identities, building community, and cultivating leadership. So that's what we're going to talk about for the last part of this, okay? So earlier I talked about affirming identities, how we in the Umoja community do that by validating and acknowledging and celebrating the unique aspects of all of our students' identities. The Umoja team recognizes those intersecting natures because we also, as practitioners, have them too, and we create environments where students feel seen, heard, respected, and valued for who they are. Umoja engages in genuine conversations, those genuine, uncomfortable conversations, to help them navigate those times where somebody might reach in to touch their hair, right? Might reach in, right? It's reality. And we talk about discussions about their educational journeys and identities. We talk about the difference of an HBCU or a CSU or a UC, right? We talk about finding the place where you feel like you fit in is really is really important, and make sure that the resources are there. It's really important. And through these efforts, we foster inclusivity and understanding and a sense of belonging for the members of our community. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna say it, some people may disagree with me, I don't care. We have an organizational culture like no place else on campus. Our little group. Ashe? Ashe. Right. We also build community, okay? And the Umoja team came together rather haphazardly. For those of you who have been here for a while, we know Dr. Donna Calandras is one of the founders of Umoja Statewide, was here on this campus, and she really ran this as like a boutique program for a dozen years, right? And then in about 2017, or maybe 18, 19, Brent and I had gotten hired on. Actually, I always had worked in the background with Donna, but Dr. Emily Kay came with the Hip Hop Studies Summit, and we just kind of piecemealed a group together that just had like-mindedness, right? And Donna saw that, and she pulled us together and loved on us in a different way. And I'm not gonna say she trained us, but she did. She prepared us. She prepared us to move into this space because she was about ready to retire. And when she finally retired, we were like in awe of how much work one person did, because there were 7 of us, and we couldn't get it all done. And we were like, how was Donna doing all of this work? It's crazy. So we came together haphazardly, but we genuinely love and support each other. I'm just gonna say it, I can't sit next to Brent. When I say we act up, no, we don't. We just have a really good time in each other's presence. So if we're someplace and you see us like boiled over laughing like this, that's because we are. Because we are. And Charles is in that mix, and Adam is in that mix. Like, we generally just have fun together, right? And there's no better way than to do work with people that you like. Ashe, because I'm gonna leave it there. Okay. But we are a team with different experiences and skill sets and passions, and we know that this work cannot be effectively done with one counselor or one really committed teaching faculty. It's not possible. It's not possible. And I'm talking about the Umoja community, but we have a lot of other communities on this campus. We have these marginalized, and I don't know, I don't even like the word marginalized groups. We have these silos of students. Let's call them that, right? We have these silos of students that all need and want this. And we just have to find the people that's willing to do the work. I'm lucky that my people found me and I found them. Okay, Ashe? Ashe. On this team, I told you I played a role. I'm the mama. I'm the mama, the auntie. A student last semester said, "Are you the Umoja grandma?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I am too cute to be somebody's grandma. No. You call me mama or auntie. Don't call me grandma. No." All right. Brent is that cool uncle who will talk spicy if you ain't acting right. He'll talk spicy. He'll snatch you up, get you together. Charles is that cousin who kind of rolls into the party a little late, but just as the food's coming off the grill, and he gets a plate to eat and he gets a plate to go. Right? He said it's to go plate up before everybody even eating. But everybody loved him. They're like, "Oh, Cousin Charles here." Right? Cousin Charles is here. And Emily is in the background making sure that everything is getting in and out of the oven, right? That people that are supposed to bring stuff to the potluck brought stuff to the potluck, right? And then Ty and Adam and Wanda and Tanya and Barbara and Donald, and they just like what she needs to do. They make sure the setup and the tear down is done, and they just directing the students or directing the people, and they're just doing the work that needs to be done. Just being available. It's amazing. It really is. And we are so excited about playing our role. And we really have a robust community because of that role. So the Umoja community, when Donna, Dr. Calandras was here on campus, kind of usually would cap out at about 50 students, 30 to 50 students, which was manageable for one person. And right now, we have 350 students. Right? The number gonna get better in a second. We have 350 students that actively use our counseling services. So they use Brent as their counselor, that actively engage in Umoja events. They come to some of the events I'm gonna talk about in a second, or they are taking an Umoja course, because we have some Umoja courses. So You know, I'm going to talk about how we built this community, some of the things we do. Now, I didn't have time to do the scroll of all the events we do. Like, when I say we have something every month, we usually have 2 or 3 somethings every month. We do a lot. So, the Black Resource Network, that is our Canvas page, okay? The Black Resource Network is a Canvas page. Every semester, we get a report from IT of every student that identifies as Black or African descent, and we throw them into the Black Resource Network. And when I say we throw them into, I cut and paste 200 students at a time into the Black Resource Network. And since the Black Resource Network launched in fall of 22, it has grown from 1,200 students to 1,700 students that have accepted the invitation, okay? So we have 1,700 students that interact with the Black Resource Network in some way, shape, or form, even if that's just where they're getting their Chaffey events. So we post all of all the counseling services, all the resources on campus, all of the Chaffey-sponsored events, and then all of the Umoja-sponsored events we post in the Black Resource Network. And generally, if we post something that's an Umoja event, it's full in an hour or 2. We're usually lucky if we make it to 2 hours, but that 1,700 students is exciting. It's exciting for us. And then starting in July and culminating in May, we host numerous academic and social events every month. Every month. We have at least 2, sometimes 3 events every month. So some of the events that we have Summer Bridge. We usually do that in late June, early July, where that was I think that's what I was calling in my car at Target, where we have incoming students. We talk to them about the Umoja community, and we give them a little swag, you know. Brent he got 2 pieces of Umoja stuff on, but we give him a couple T-shirts and a notebook or whatever. But we talk about the program here, and I don't want to say we sell them on it, but we sell them on it, right? And we have a good time at Summer Bridge, so we do Summer Bridge. And then once the semester starts, we have fall orientation where we bring those Summer Bridge students in and we bring back our returning students and we introduce them again to the program and introduce them to our leaders, and we talk to them about how they can become a leader. And we have some amazing Umoja leaders on campus. So we love on the students there as well. Next, Sankofa screenings. This is a lot of fun, and Sankofa is one of the practices that Umoja interacts with. And basically, we go to the movies together. That's what it boils down to. We go to the movies. I almost said The Lion King. We did see that too. We saw The Woman King and Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Into the Spider-Verse. Like, basically, if it's a movie that got Black people in it, starring in it, we're going to go see it. Right? We go to AMC. We go in the morning, usually on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. The students get popcorn. We watch the movie together. We usually have some dialogue after the movie is over. And last month, we saw the American Society of Magical Negroes. It was a satire, so we had a lot of conversation about that afterwards because it was a satire. Students didn't quite fully get it. And then for the first time ever this semester, we actually took students to see a play. So we took the students, yep. We took students to see Lion King the play, and to be honest, when they signed up for it, some of them thought they were going to see the movie. So they get on the bus, they roll the orange county, they're like, what movie, right? So we introduced them to an experience that they never had, and we talked about, like, this is how you dress, you know, like we're not wearing sweatpants or leggings. Like, we had the full conversation of what you do when you go to the theater, and they loved it. They loved it, like, and that's why our things fill up so quick, because they don't do nothing low budget. And we get money from the state. So I know y'all thinking, like, where the money come from? We get funded like EOPS. So that's where the money's come from. Because I know somebody right now just like, I got what they doing, right? What are they doing? We also do UC in the Black Experience. So we have every fall, we have a Zoom workshop where an admissions rep from every UC and a student from every UC talks about what it's like to be a Black student on that campus. Right? Really valuable for the students. We also do, because we love an acronym, you know, we do UTI, which is a University Transfer Immersion Experience, where we take students on overnight trips to CSUs and UCs. And yes, we have taken them to my beloved San Diego State. They were fortunate they got to go to San Diego State during homecoming weekend. I was not a chaperone, because now I drink. Yeah, and I'm the president of the Black Alumni Association of San Diego State, so I was working then too. But we took them to San Diego State and UC San Diego that weekend. At San Diego State, they got to experience homecoming. They got to go to a D9 yard show, so they got to see the Greeks step, and they also got an understanding of what they should be doing when they go to visit a school. So when they go to visit a school, they should go to admissions, housing, financial aid, Black Resource Center, right? Those are the places that every Black student should go to. If you're not Black, you should go to the Latinx Cultural Center, the LGBTQI+. So whatever your identities are, you need to find out how that identity is respected at that campus. So we have them do that. Ashe? Ashe. So they've been to some other schools too. The other thing that we do, we have two celebrations and ceremonies that we do. The Umoja language is POWER, ULAP. Again, we love an acronym. ULAP is for students that have successfully passed English 1A and 1B, right? We know that that is a stumbling point for a lot of students. So folks that pass English 1A and 1B, they get cords at the ULAP ceremony that they can use at graduation. And the Rites of Passage celebrations for those students that are culminating their studies here at Chaffey, and we will be participating in commencement. So they also get a Kente Sol. So we lace them up, so when they go to graduation, they have all the stuff. They have all the stuff. So we do that for them as well, okay? All right. Let's see where. Oh, and then the Village Table. Yes, this is the one that's a lot of fun. The Village Table, we hold the Village Table the last Wednesday of every month, and the Village Table is nothing but us being in community, right? So we order some food, somebody brings a speaker, somebody pairs their iPhone, and we eat together, and we laugh and giggle, and sometimes we be singing, sometimes we bust out karaoke moves, sometimes we, electric slide, we may get electric slide in there, I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but they're in a space where they can just be Black together, and nobody's gonna stop them from being Black together. And the Village Table it's really become a very critical resource for us building our community, because sometimes that's how we get the students. They come to Village Table first, they're like, oh, what's going on over here, right? Oh, I can get some canes, or some Tios, or some, what's the Barbonis, whatever. We feed them well, too. We feed them well, right? So they come and eat, and then they laugh and they talk to us, and when we're in the space, we have a QR code on the tables that how they can make an appointment with Brent, right? Or what classes we could talk about. Hey, are you ready for? We use it as a commercial. They don't even know they're getting commercialized, right? But we use it as a commercial for the great things that our Umoja are doing, because we have them in a capture space, and it's really an invaluable time for building our community. And this is the one that gets me excited. This is the one that gets me excited, our English 1A and 1B pathway. This gets me excited. I don't even teach this. I don't even teach that. But in the summer of 22, Umoja started offering English 1A and 1B. It's taught by Charles Williams. They read work by Black authors. They write essays on Black topics. And they just sit in a space where their students is just like them, right? And sometimes, talking to Charles, sometimes it's work, but sometimes it's therapy, right? Sometimes they come in with their spirit broken, and Charles does a Dr. Weber on them, right? Pumps him back up, right? Sometimes sometimes he don't even have to say nothing. The students feed into each other, right? Ashe. So it's really important. It's really important that that they, are in that space together. And this is what the IR data shows. So Jim Philbott gave us these numbers, okay? The IR data shows a statistically significant increase in student success and retention for African American students in Umoja 1A and 1B classes. So students in 1A, the success rate in 1A is 72.2%. Where are my English folks at? Right, okay, so I heard a hey, okay, I'll take that, yeah. 1A, 72%. 1B, 81% success rate in an English class? Okay, we need a math class, y'all. All right? We need a math class, right? So let's talk about this too. Based on the disaggregated data for the 21-22 academic year, the success rate in English 1A compared to Black students that didn't take English 1A in Umoja was 26% higher. by taking a class with a black instructor. And 1B, 15% higher, okay? In the spring of 23, Jim Philpott, in his Did You Know series, he listed that black students who complete English 1A, 1B, and math in their first year at Chaffey were 300 times more likely to transfer, right? So our students, they get Brent. Brent makes sure they get in English 1A. Charles makes sure they get in English 1B. Like I said, we need a math class. We get that math class, we can get them in everything. And it's just proof that learning in community matters, right? Learning with people that are like you, that went through your same struggles, it matters, right? And can this be duplicated across the campus? Absolutely, right? It's just gonna take some time, energy, effort, okay? And the faculty, because like I said, we volunteer. Brent is the coordinator, Brent and Charles are both coordinators, and the rest of us are just volunteering because we love the students. All right, last but not least, that last C, cultivating leadership. So we spend a lot of time with the students, a lot. I've given a bunch of stories, so we spend time with them academically and socially, and we show up as our full selves. We see students that show up confident and driven, but we also see them blossom in our time together. So Roxy is one of those folks that blossomed in our time with us. And we recognize the potential of individuals to become influential leaders, and we nurture and develop leadership skills that benefit the Umoja community. This weekend, we're having a leadership retreat for students. So through intentional and deliberate leadership development opportunities, we empower students to become confident, visionary, and impactful. And the fruit of that cultivation can be seen right here on campus. Walk into Panther Care, Panther Essentials, you see Umoja student leaders working there. Walk into the Transfer Center, you see Umoja leaders working there. Look at our student trustee, Tamia Newman. She's an Umoja leader. And, our tentacles stretch outside of Chaffey. We have students that are administrators at UCR, or I just ran into a student that's a supervisor at Kaiser. Literally, it was one of those, I walked down the hall, he was like, Ms. Charles, like Ronnie. It's one of those, our tentacles stretch everywhere, and the benefit is they come back. They come back to us and they say, Ms. Tara, how can I help? What can I do? Is there anything you need, right? We never have a problem getting somebody to come speak at our rites of passage ceremony. Like sometimes we're like, who we gonna pick, right? Because they're so connected with us, and like I said, they transfer and they expect that connectors at four-year universities that they think have a lot more money, and they don't get it, right? Because we love on our students. Right? So to wrap it up, the holistic approach. So even without scrutinizing this data that I've given you, the inherent understanding of the transformative power of the ethic of love is evident. It really transcends the statistical analysis. It resonates with our experiences, and it shows the impact on student success. It's a comprehensive approach. It recognizes the interconnectedness of physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and it ensures that we address the diverse needs of students on all levels. By fostering a sense of self-love and acceptance, we empower students to navigate challenges, cultivate resilience, and embrace their unique identities. Through passionate understanding and empathy, we create a supportive environment where students feel seen, heard, and valued. By nurturing their body, mind, and spirit, we enable students to thrive academically and emotionally, fostering growth and development. By interfusing our interactions, our teachings, and our support systems with self-love, compassion, empathy, and genuine care, we tap into a holistic approach to building community. Body, mind, and spirit. Ashe? Amen. Thank you, Chaffey.
this moment to say thank you, Tara, for such an amazing lecture. And if you don't mind, please, just one more round of applause. And I just have a few things to say before you go. So on behalf of Chaffey College Academic Senate, I would like to present Tara Johnson with the Faculty Lecturer of the Year for the 2023-2024 year. Thank you, Tara, for your service to students and to Chaffey.
Photo op. Wait, look. Wait, let's put the shoe in there. Let's put the shoe in the picture. Come on, one more time for the shoe. One more time for the shoe. And I'm gonna hug Nikki too, because I'm a hugger.
You know what? I'm gonna say okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. I love my people. I love my people.
So as usual, with the Faculty Lecturer of the Year, we do have a Q&A session. We are going to take a short break. I believe it'll be about 10 minutes. If you're in the overflow room, the Q&A is only going to take place here. So we'll need you to come back. And then there's a separate sign-in for the Q&A as well, which you'll get upon exit of the Q&A. So I'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Thank you.